The Green Bay Packers have now beat back-to-back playoff teams from last year in their first 2 weeks. That's a big statement.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast, the authentic voice of sports leadership, where coaching wisdom meets real talk. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and on today's Top Shelf Tuesday edition, NFL Week 2 wrap-up, we'll talk about dealing with distractions and give you a preview of Week 3. But first, I got to introduce our panelists. We're going to start with our teacher of the month every month, Mike Connors. We've got our captain for life, Will Cotton. And returning for a very special appearance, and I haven't said this in a while, Kelly, so get ready. The icon, the showstopper, the main event, and the reason why we are here, Coach Mike, Franchise Francis and Franchise. First and foremost, how are you? Give the people an update because they have asked about you. It is always good to see you. What's going on, sir?
Man, I'm doing well. I feel lucky to be here again. Glad that I had a chance to get back, and everything's like lightening up on me a little bit this time of year. So I'm blessed to be able to still be back and join you guys. See you guys. I haven't seen you guys in a long time. So
all right, so let's get at it. Mike Connors, what was the best thing you saw this week 2 of the NFL season?
The best thing that I saw today was the Detroit Lions rebounding from their week 1 loss. They put up 52 points. Jared Goff was 23 for 28 for 334 yards with 5 TDs and no interceptions. 6 different people rushed the ball for them for 177 yards. That is a complete game by the offense, and they did not give up many points on defense. So Detroit looks like week 1 could have been an anomaly, but we'll wait and see. But they definitely had a week where they were the best thing that I saw.
All right, Cotton Man, what was the best thing you saw, sir?
And I gotta go with Mike, man. I think the Lions is back. That's our squad anyway. If they were I wonder if they brought that team last week, if what would happen a little different, and you would have thought about the Packers a little different. But we'll start here. We're moving forward. The right back, they're going on the right path. I'm Richard with the Lions.
All right, Franchise, what's the best thing you saw, sir? Week 2 of the NFL season.
Week 2, the best thing I saw was the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers have now beat back-to-back playoff teams from last year in their first 2 weeks. That's a big statement. They limited Washington at 230 total yards. And I'll tell you one thing, the pass rush and the hurries, from their new acquisition from the Dallas Cowboys kind of makes their defense the best. I feel like the Packers have the best defense in the NFL.
All right. Cotton Man, what's the worst thing you saw this week, sir?
I'd probably say unicorns. We got Marvin Harrison Jr., who's not really doing much. Travis Hunter, not really doing much. Now everyone's using these word unicorn. And I'm not saying he's not a good player, but he's not a unicorn. Jamar Chase, his first week 1 looked like a unicorn. Justin Jefferson looked like a unicorn. Saquon, when he played the first game, looked like a unicorn. I need these guys to pick it up. Now, they're winning. Not the Jaguars as much so, but Marvin, they're winning, so I'm not going to get too much pressure. But I need these guys to really understand that they're calling me the unicorn. Y'all the next gen. Y'all need to start playing it more consistently as well.
All right, Connors, what is the worst thing you saw week 2 of the NFL season?
I got to stay with the same team that I said last week. I was thinking about going Carolina, but I got to go with the Jets. I mean, Fields was 3 for 11 for 27 yards total. He fumbled a couple times. He had to leave in the second half with a concussion syndrome, so that always worries me. But the Jets had a total of 154 yards of total offense. That's Giant-esque from last week. Coach Terry Glenn preached 3 things during training camp up here: discipline, smart, and tough. Today, they did not play disciplined, they did not look smart, and they did not look tough. Glenn talked a good game because Xavier Gibson was cut after last week's game for fumbling a kickoff. The New York Post is already referring to today's game as the MetLife Massacre. So if Glenn is going to continue that trend of cutting people who cost them the game, I don't know if the Jets will be able to field the team next week because so many people did stupid stuff to cost them the game. He could cut literally 9 people.
Wow. Franchise, what is the worst thing you saw week 2 of the NFL season?
First thing was the worst. Two of them. One was the Giants Cowboys first half. Unbelievably. It was one play where they had a combined 4 penalties in one play between the two teams. They had a holding, offsides, a roughing the passer, a pass interference. It definitely was horrible. And to me, the Browns' defense in the second half. They allowed, I think it was 17, 18 unanswered points by Baltimore.
I saw Joe Flacco trying to chase down a interception. Sometimes you gotta let it go, man. You gotta let it go.
I don't know what he was thinking, but
all right, franchise, I'm gonna stay with you. What is the most surprising thing you saw week 2 of the NFL season?
I go back to Jordan Love. To me, Jordan Love, he put together a very, very good game. They won 27-16, 292 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. He opened up. There's a guy now, I never even knew his name till this weekend, Tucker Kraft. His tight end. That's his guy. It's his safety valve, 124 yards receiving and a touchdown. They did it running the ball. They did it throwing the ball. And he looked so cool the whole time, no matter how many how many defenders the Commanders put at him. But he looked just so calm and cool.
All right. Connors, what's the most surprising thing you saw this week, sir?
I got to go with the Giants and Russell Wilson. Now, they did not win the game, but after putting up a whole 6 points in week 1, the Giants put up 37. That's pretty impressive to me for an inept offense. And the Giants left a ton on the field because they were in the red zone and could not get touchdowns. But Wilson was 30 for 41 for 450 yards, a rating of 123. Far from perfect, but they showed a lot of progress. The offensive line, didn't look great, but still, if you put up 37 points, you're doing something right. The problem is the Giants defense didn't show up. And they can't put a complete game together with both sides of the ball, so they keep losing. But I think Russell Wilson definitely surprised me today after how bad he looked last week.
Now, I do have to ask you before we get to Cotton, are we ready for the kid yet?
Well, the kid made 3 appearances today. The first one was just a handoff to Scadaboo, which went for about 18 yards. And he's going to be a very good professional, I think. I'm not saying all pro, but Scadaboo, I think, is going to be a very good running back. But if Russell plays again like he did today was his career high in passing yards with 451 yards. I mean, that's a career day. If you can say that you passed for that many yards in an NFL game, you had a career. So I don't know. I mean, if he keeps playing decently, they'll keep Dart out. Now, I know that Dable and the offensive coordinator Kafka have a set checklist of things that Dart has to do before he starts. Now, he is quarterback number 2. So if Wilson gets hurt, Dart goes in. And they do have some scripted plays for him already in certain situations like today. But just like he did with Allen in Buffalo, he's not just going to throw him in. He has to meet certain criteria to win that starting position. And he's not there yet, but we'll have to wait and see.
All right, Cotton Man, what's the most surprising thing you saw? Close us out.
Oh, man, the Colts. Colts are 2-0, comfortably the top of the AFC South. And it doesn't mean nothing, it's just being the least ugly person in the room.
The funniest clown in the circus.
Yeah, don't go selling those Super Bowl tickets just yet.
I'm telling you. But what I can tell you this, with their new ownership, if they can get to the playoffs, and that would be a great, great story for them. That's a great, great start for the franchise. That would put a lot of energy back into the vibe. Because even though they're not a good team, I mean, all you need is belief. Truth or not, ask the old Redskins fans for the last 30 years. Their stadium was always full, but out of belief, So surprised at that. Great for them. 2-0. Keep it going.
All right.
I've been going a while because I heard somebody say Redskins, and I didn't hear a whole lot of backlash from Dr. Adams. So
we're all good. Okay. We're even good to say Deshaun Watson. How about that? All right. So, fans, we're not going to say happy birthday, though. But Cleveland did. Anyway, it's segment 2. He's bringing it back out at me. In segment 2, we will talk about distractions and how we deal with them. We'll be right back on the iCoaches podcast. Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Keith Adams, and for years, I've witnessed the struggles student athletes face on how to truly balance the demands of academics and athletics. It's a question that I have dedicated my life to answering. That's why I wrote Finding the Balance, my personal journey to academic and athletic success. It's more than just a book. It is my personal journey, and it is filled with hard earned lessons from decades as a coach, educator, and now president of the CKA Safe Project. Inside, you will find practical advice, real life stories, and a clear roadmap to help student athletes, coaches, and parents navigate the complex world of balancing sports and education. And now I am thrilled to bring this message to a wider audience as a proud member of the Cascade Sports Network. We're partnering to amplify these crucial conversations about student athlete success. I believe every student athlete deserves the opportunity to reach their full potential, both on and off the court and the field. You can purchase your copy directly from our website at www.casafeproject.org. Join me and the Cascade Sports Network as we work together to help every student athlete succeed. Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast in segment 2. One, we're going to talk a little bit about rebounding after a bad loss, and then we'll talk about dealing with distractions. Connors, I'm going to go to you for rebounding after a bad loss. We got a team like Baltimore, Detroit, Chicago. They all three had bad week ones. Coming into week 2, who do you think, and take whichever one you want, dealt with that bad loss the best?
I'd have to say Detroit. I mean, Detroit came in. They went out with a whimper last year in the playoffs, did not look good. The first week, they did not look good. And after losing their offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, that raises lots of questions. But they must have read some of the bulletin board material from Ben Johnson, and they went out there and they put a hurting on him. You know, we worried about injuries with the quarterback and his back and this and that, but they came out and they put up 52 points. And, you know, the Bears are not a horrible team. They're off to an 0-2 start, but, you know, there was a lot of talk with Ben Johnson being the head coach and a prolific offensive coordinator that they could be very dynamic with Caleb Williams as the quarterback. And Detroit was able to shut him down pretty much today. He did pass for about 207 yards and 2 TDs, but he threw an interception and just didn't look like he was very comfortable in the second half of the game. So I have to think that Detroit did the best job of rebounding. And if Campbell is the motivator, like he seems to be, you know, I'm sure he went in there throwing some chairs, flipping some Gatorade coolers, and not singing Kumbaya with the team if he wanted to turn around. He doesn't seem like that guy at first. I mean, he's going to be the guy who yells at you and then hugs you to get you back on track, I think. And he seemed to do a good job because Detroit looked like a totally different team this week than they did last week.
All right, Cotton Man, as a player, you've come off bad losses. Any team do you think either really handled that bad loss well or the opposite? What are you thinking?
Oh man, I think Detroit and Baltimore turned back, did what they had to do, really showed out the team that, hey, we're still the team that was in the championship games last year. But I think, we'll see a lot about Chicago. We'll see exactly what their personality becomes because now they're 0-2 and they're a very, very deep division, and if who knows what happens with Minnesota. If Minnesota comes out and wins again tonight or whenever they play, then you're really in a hole. So, I remember in our season, we lost 2 bad games back to back, and kind of, okay, let's reassess, look at things, go back, and we had a great run for the end of the season and beat both. I think, yeah, we beat both them teams anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it'll see what happens. We'll see how good of a coach Ben Johnson is. We'll see what kind of a player Caleb Williams is. If he's going to be all dash flash with the nails and everything like that, or is he going? And even with the when he came, with the shirt that was all all loose under the uniform looking slide. Now I'm not that old, but man, come on, you gotta clean it up. But that speak to the coach, or if you're letting your players go out there looking like that, that doesn't look good. So I say we'll be what happens with Chicago. They need to go out and win next week, and I think they have another tough one. So
I think they have Dallas next week.
yeah.
All
And,
right,
and
so I'm
don't and
go ahead.
and I was saying, don't forget, last year Williams and the Bears had a 10-game losing streak. That can do a lot to your psyche if you lose a couple of games and start snowballing that. Are they going to start panicking like last year where they couldn't get out of their own way? I mean, 10 losses in pro football that in a row, that's a hard thing to overcome mentally for a young player.
Yeah, and I'm going to put franchise to work. So, franchise, I'm putting you in charge of Chicago Bears. And fans, I have to remind you that franchise is both an award-winning football and basketball coach, and does have extensive knowledge about Caleb Williams and him and how he came up. So, Mike, you've got Caleb, who's the number one pick, who came in with a lot of fanfare and had a coach who was dead man walking. And now he's got a coach who's coming in with a reputation, but he ain't done nothing yet. How are you dealing with this if you've got the pencil, so to speak?
I just think first thing I got to do, taking over the program, if I'm the coach, I evaluate every phase of the team, offense, defense, special teams, find out where our deficiencies are. How much of this is related to the quarterback we have? How much of this is related to the talent or lack thereof talent around him? Number one. I think Caleb is going to be a good professional quarterback. I think there is playoff coming for the Bears if they can surround them with the right people. And I think the coach they have now, he's a guy that doesn't, he's not a no nonsense, he's a no nonsense kind of guy. So he's going to put it in position to be, if Caleb is willing to be coached, he's going to make him hard. He's going to drive him hard, but he has to evaluate everyone else. And I don't think Caleb Williams is the issue here. I honestly don't with the Bears. I think it's been years of bad decisions that's just catching up with the organization.
All right. And in terms of distraction, something franchise you don't deal with a lot with distractions.
Mm-mm.
We've got a lot of teams that have a lot of early season distractions, teams like Miami and others. Is there any team in particular that you're like, man, y'all better straighten this out? Or what do you think, sir?
Well, Miami is obvious they should fire the coach. That just doesn't make sense what's going on down there. Uh, but to me, the potential distraction of what's going on in Cleveland. We know how this started. We know how it played out ever since the draft. We've seen how they've done this young man and their quarterback situation. So the question you have to ask today, was it Browns or was it Joe Flacco's struggles? All right. So if that's the case and the offense is shaky, were the wide receivers inconsistent, we're not selling tickets and we hear the owner getting angry because they are not selling tickets because no one wants to come and see Joe Flacco play. Everyone's just on the Shador Sanders bandwagon. And they say the most famous person in the city is who?
Backup quarterback.
The backup quarterback. So then you also throw in the other young man who's in there is also listed as a backup. So to me, that's the biggest looming distraction. And I would just get rid of one. Like you said, I don't do distractions. Guy asked me for more time. I said, I'm going to give you all the time you need. You're cut. Now you can do everything what you want with your time.
Yes, indeed. All right. Cotton Man, out of all of these teams with distraction, is there anyone in particular that you're like, man, we got to address this?
Oh man, I mean, I just I just love when winning cures all. The Eagles, anything happens, man, they spitting because they first of all, they still won. You know what I'm saying? They won number one. And then they went to KC and beat KC up. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? The game was a lot tougher for them for the Chief than the score it shows. Yeah, man. And when you're winning, people will forget that even happened. But guarantee if Jalen Carter, if he was on the Miami Dolphins, we'd still be talking about that. We'd still be talking about, is he a distraction? Is he doing this, doing that? So I think the best thing is, man, you go out there and win. Eagles got a great win. Ravens came back, kicked ass, and beat the crap, you know what I'm saying, about the Browns, man. And that's what you do. That's what you do. You didn't get beat up with Derrick Henry too. You didn't need too much Derrick Henry. You just relaxed. So, but the other two teams, man, you already know. All they could do is you could step on an ant and it's gonna be news everywhere. That's how it affects us with them. So.
All right, Connors, close us out. All of these early season distractions, is there a team you want to just address and say, hey, things you might want to think about?
Yeah, I mean, one of the crazy things with being a coach at the high school and collegiate level is you always preach. I treat all my players the same. You're all equal in my eyes, and that's the biggest load of you know what out there. If you're the star quarterback, you're not getting treated the same as the backup guard. I've said that many times on the podcast, but sometimes enough is enough for an athlete. I don't care how gifted you are. Tyreek Hill is in trouble again. And I was like, I always hear of this guy getting in trouble. And I don't know Tyreek Hill very well. I know he's a very talented athlete, but I went back and did some research on different things that have happened to him in his life and problems he has caused himself. I mean, in 2014 at Oklahoma State, he punched his pregnant girlfriend in the stomach when she was 8 weeks pregnant and was charged with domestic felony assault and battery by strangulation. So Oklahoma State dismissed him from the team for that. Then he went out, not invited to a combine, but at the pro day that he got allowed to go to, he ran a 4.25 40. So the Chiefs went out on a limb and drafted him in the 5th round. And Hill said to the press, and I quote, "The fans have a right to be mad at me. I did something wrong. I let my emotions get the best of me, and I shouldn't have did it. They have every right to be mad because they didn't want him to pick him." So you think maybe the kid made a horrible mistake. He'll learn from it. In 2019, Hill was under police investigation for battery of a 3-year-old who was the son of his fiance at the time. A 3-year-old suffered a broken arm under unique circumstances. In 2013, he was detained on his way to a game for reckless driving. He was again detained by police for accused domestic violence this past year against his wife that he was divorcing, and he was charged in a lawsuit. An Instagram model filed charges against him, a woman named Sophie Hill, saying he broke her leg while she was participating in a pretend football drill in his living room. I mean, this young man is making a lot of poor decisions, and he's a great athlete, so he keeps getting chance after chance after chance. At some point, we'd have to teach people that practice this way and do things in their life this way a lesson, and just, you're done. You've run out of chances. It's too much. One time anyone can make a mistake, you try to learn from it. But this young man obviously is not learning from the mistakes that he made because he's a gifted athlete. And what kind of message does that send to the average high school athlete? We watch the Little League World Series. We see the kids, they all have the arm, the big pads on their elbow, the compression sleeves, the gloves, the sliding gloves. They're doing bat flips and getting thrown out of games for unsportsmanlike. It's like, what kind of message do we send when guys like this get chance after chance after chance and make millions and millions of dollars? It's time for Miami to do the right thing and the NFL to do the right thing and just walk away from Tyreek Hill and let him just live his life and do his thing and not be a millionaire playing football on TV on the weekends.
I'm going to have to tag back to my partner. Franchise, again, is this the coach that's allowing this, or is this the organization? Or talk to me about Miami, sir. What do you think based on what Connor said? And we're school teachers, so he had his data all lined up.
I think it's more of an organizational problem than it is anything. They've had issues with coaches, keeping coaches, problems with coaches. They are along the lines where, as you know, my son played in Miami for 2 years. They have the issues that Washington had when they was practicing in Northern Virginia, playing in DC. But so it's not a lot of connectivity. I'm sure the communication is poor from top to bottom in the organization. I just think that they need to get rid of the coach. And as far as the young man, he's been in some trouble, but a lot of them have been in trouble. But we know the NFL's always been about what you can do, not what you have done. I remember the stories of them driving vans around looking for LT with.
Oh, he was the worst. Yeah, I mean, not an example for children, that's for sure.
Not at all. But this is an entertainment business. It's not cartoons and children based. It is entertainment. It's adult entertainment at some points. You got millionaires running around acting crazy that billionaires allow as long as the bottom line is the same. So he will always do what he can get away with, and whatever he can get away with. Miami, maybe another owner will let him if he thinks it's going to help him win games. That's how he ended up from Kansas City to Miami, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
So as long as you got talent, unfortunately, they're going to let you do it. But I hate to borrow Charles Barkley's words, but I ain't no role model, you know. So
Yes.
if you allowing your child to look up to him, then you got a problem, in my opinion. My
All
son looked up
right.
to me.
Yes, indeed. Well, I can't leave without you. You're a teammate. You're in the locker room with this guy. What are you thinking about as his locker's right there? And every week I got to answer questions about him and not the game. What are you thinking, man?
I just speak to myself. I've been in a situation like that, and it just depends, man. If you're not winning, you don't care about stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't care, like, oh man, whatever, it's all good. Like I can guarantee they're not winning in Miami. Nobody cares what's going on Tyreek Hill. Oh, you
Exactly.
showing up? You ain't there? Oh, all right. Like there's no accountability or any of that. You know what
Nope.
I'm saying? But the second year, my senior year, we were winning. There was a lot more invested by everybody, commitment on people, you know what I'm saying? Keeping people, accountability. Like, hey man, you show them to the weight room, you go be up here, you running these sprints, we all do it together, you know. And we had a guy like that who, like Tyreek Hill, was always getting in trouble, supposed to be going to rehab, was going places elsewhere that he shouldn't go, and now he wasn't able to play in the playoffs. And you like you said, coach, man, it's like you be out there, blood and sweat with everybody on the field. And if you have somebody that's cheating the team and not going what they're supposed to do, that sucks. But there's no culture of winning right now in Miami. So they're not gonna hold him to accountability. So they don't care right now. And he won't go to anywhere with any sort of structure because they're gonna be like, we are hell no, we already see the red flag, and you're used. No, thank you.
Uh, all
Yeah,
right. Well,
it's on the lines of Georgia and the speeding tickets until they lost the national championship. Nobody talked about it. Goes back to Florida with a preacher and what's the in Miami. I mean, University of Florida when they had all those guys down there. It's like Will said. I just want to piggyback. Winning is the best cologne ever.
all right, good stuff. So, fans, in segment three, we're going to preview week three. Connors has a top five for us, and we'll check out the next week of games, see what we're interested in. Be right back on the Eye Coaches podcast. Hi, everyone. Dr. Keith Adams here, and for over 30 years, I've dedicated my life to helping student athletes succeed, not just on the fields and the courts, but in the classroom and beyond. And that's why I founded the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project understands that finding the balance between academics and athletics is crucial for long-term success. That's why the CKA Save Project offers a range of programs, including personalized consulting, mentorship, and coming in 2027, our innovative Gap Year Basketball Academy designed to assist both young men and women reach their full potential both on and off the court. I'm incredibly excited to announce that the CK Save Project is now partnering with the Cascade Sports Network. This partnership will allow us the opportunity to amplify our message and reach even more student athletes through the Odd Coaches podcast and other exciting initiatives. Join the CKA Save Project and the Cascade Sports Network as we empower the next generation of student athletes. Visit CKA on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org to learn more. Let's work together to find the balance and help unlock your potential. Welcome back to the Odd Coaches podcast, and in segment three, my favorite segment, we got our top five. Mike Connors, give us the OCP top five this week, and anybody on the outside looking in.
Yeah, we do have some teams on the outside looking in. We had a little shift, not much, but to quote the great Ric Flair, to be the man, woo, you got to beat the man. So Philly is still our number one team. After them, I have the Packers. The Packers have looked very good both weeks. Jordan Love has looked wonderful. The next three I have are Buffalo, Baltimore, and Detroit. Detroit comes in for the Commanders after the Commanders lost this week. But looking in, got to keep the Commanders. It's early in the season. One win isn't going to devastate them. The Rams and Indy are looking like good teams the last 2 weeks. So we'll have to see there. And the Bengals won today, even though Joe Burrow went out. So when he comes back, could they, still be looking to make some progress there? So we'll have to wait and see.
Man,
Tampa,
okay.
no love for Tampa.
Well, they haven't played yet.
I was
You
going
know,
to
we
say
take one.
they haven't played yet today that I've seen, so I
Oh
don't.
yeah, they still got to play.
And can you please tell me you're trying to shove Joe Burrow down my throat every year? Last year he had Dominique Wilkins stats.
Oh my
What's
God.
Dominique Wilkins stats? My team is not going to win, so let me get my points in so I get my next contract. So he's always there's always something wrong with this guy, and I'm supposed to think he's good. So
He took them to the
man,
Super Bowl a few years ago. Who else was
oh
on that team?
boy,
Who else was on that team? Name
living
three
in the
players quick.
past is
Name
starting to
three
get
players
old.
quick. Name three players quick.
I couldn't name three
Exactly.
players now.
Exactly. He's that good. He took them to the Super Bowl on his own. He's
All
got no
right.
line. He gets beat to hell every week. It's the Bengals. We're not talking about a historically great team. I mean,
They
when
didn't even
Icky,
have a gator to take him out,
I
man.
know they had him limp out. That's how bad that
Walk
franchise
out
is. But
50 yards.
he's 2-0. He's 2-0, and he played with one leg. I didn't
Diminy
say he's in
crickets.
there. He's on the
And
outside
that
looking
wasn't
in.
on you, Connors. That's the national media telling me Joe Burrow. And I'm looking at the data, and I'm like, you keep going back to that Super Bowl. Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl. Jiminy crickets. You're killing me, Smalls. I'm sorry. That's my fault. That's my rant on Joe Burrow. I'm
Wow.
going to blame Franchi.
Now let's toss Cliff
Wow.
Kingsbury. Let's get Keith really
That
going.
dude is stealing money. All right. Looking at next week's games, Will Cotton, get me back to normal. Which games next week are of interest to you?
Oh man,
Franchise's fault.
again, not a lot of looking the games I'm really excited about. Detroit, Baltimore. That's going to be a great Monday night game. I'll be interested, obviously, and personally for Vegas Commanders. We want to learn more about my team and see, you've lost by a big game. Can you go back and win and against a tough opponent? Because the Vegas isn't the Vegas from last year. And I think LA versus Philly. I think that's going to be a little interesting how that game goes. Everybody else, bah. Dallas and Chicago. I think that's going to be a really good game. I think there's a lot of good star power. I don't know who's going to win, but there's going to be a lot of points. I hope, but I'm going to be looking on that game too.
All right, Connors, what are you looking at for next week, sir?
Yeah, next week I like the Vegas Washington game. We'll see if Vegas is for real. Don't sleep on Denver versus the Chargers. That could be a very good game going on. But then again, the best game of the week is Detroit Baltimore. We'll see if Detroit did rebound after that week 1 loss, and we'll see how Baltimore if they can keep it going. But that's the game. And of course, the Giants are playing Kansas City, 2-0-2 teams coming to MetLife. So
Wow.
can the Giants build off that decent game today? It was a loss, but they look like a different team than week 1. So we'll have to wait and see. But I see 3-0, or excuse me, 0-3 in the Giants' future. But I didn't think they'd be in the game today. So who knows?
All right, franchise, what are we looking for next week?
I'm looking forward to the Detroit Baltimore. Unfortunately, I feel like Baltimore and Dallas have this thing about playing great one week and then struggling the next week. It's just been tradition. So I would take Chicago and whatever the line is, and I actually would take Detroit because it's just, and I'm a Cowboys fan, you know that, but the media is just too mediocre for me, and they're always up and down. So I can see them losing by 3 touchdowns to Chicago next week. But I am looking forward to Baltimore and Detroit. I think that's going to be a good matchup. And for personal reasons, I want to see the Houston Jacksonville game. I'm really intrigued by Houston and Jacksonville. Jacksonville's on a path, and it's great to see they're trying to turn the corner. You see the energy is changing, culture is changing a little bit. I'm really intrigued by that whole Jacksonville organization.
All right, so before we close, I got to shoot a little bit, man. It is really good to be on the air with my tag team partners, so I had to get that out of the way. Super producer Kelly, make sure you take care of my man. But Mike, it is always good to see you, sir. I'm glad you were able to squeeze us in. I know your schedule's really, really busy. Can't have you on and not shout out our favorite wrestler, AJ Francis. AJ, you keep doing your thing, man. So, on behalf of our Cavalcade of Stars, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches Podcast, the authentic voice of sports leadership, where coaching wisdom meets real talk. And we're also seen on the Cascade Sports Network. Shout out Kansas City, Missouri. And we will see you on the sidelines. Until next time, take care.
The Odd Coaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach FRANCHIZE. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches podcast.